like to call the February 5th, 2025 Planning Commission to order. Can I have a roll call, please?
Barrett.
Here.
Reese.
Here.
Alexander.
Here.
Porter.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Hayes. Pembry. We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Item number 1, consideration of approval of the minutes of the December 4, 2024 regular meeting. Do we have any additions, subtractions, or comments? If no, then I would entertain a motion.
I move to approve.
Second. We have a motion and a second.
Johnson.
Aye.
Barrett.
Aye.
Reese.
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Porter.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Item number 2, public hearing and consideration of a request to rezone from transitional agriculture to C2 regional commercial. Case RZ 01-25, applicant Tracy Wynn and Landy's Engineering.
Good afternoon, Planning Commissioner Ryan Harkins, Community Development Director. This is, as noted, a request to rezone property from the Transitional Ag District to C2, which is the regional commercial. It is located along 45th Street, east of Harrison, near the intersection of Churchill and 45th. We included in the packet for you not only the staff report, but also a printout of the existing zoning of the area. There is transitional ag immediately east and west. There is C1 immediately south, and then R1 as well to the north. The applicant is looking, and they currently own the property, they're looking at trying to develop the parcel into a retail nail salon, as noted in the staff report. This is a type of what is considered, as far as a use type in the zone development code, a personal service that is permitted in the C2. The comprehensive plan, future land use map, indicates the subject property has a medium density residential designation. This features a density, as we note in the staff report, of up to 12 units per acre. It also notes that there's a mix of lower density housing types and other higher intensity uses with connection to neighborhood commercial. With that in mind, staff does not see the C2 zoning district as a likely compatible zoning district to that land use classification. We do note in the staff report that C1, which is a step below the C2, is a bit more compatible. It's more of a neighborhood or a local commercial zoning district. This type of use is allowed and is a permitted use in both zoning districts. Staff did the required notifications, not only signage and legal notice in the newspaper, but property owners within 300 feet were served notice via letter. I believe some of them are here today. Having said that, the staff recommendation, when you look at the second page of the staff report, is that with the mix of the land use classifications and the zoning districts in the area surrounding the properties, we recommend an actual rezoning from the TA to C1 because it's more of a compatible zoning district. In terms of options, however, that are available to you, you can recommend to the City Commission the property be rezoned to C2 per the applicant's request, to C1, which is staff's recommendation. You can deny the application or recommend denial, or you can recommend deferral if you feel there's additional discussion or information needed. Having said that, I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Have you spoken with the applicant?
We shared with their agent that in our mind, C1 might be more of a compatible zoning district. They were going to talk with their client and get back to us, and we never heard back in that regard. So their initial feedback seemed to be that they would be open to that, just as long as the rezoning can take place to a level that allows this permitted use to occur.
Anyone else?
So, this is probably way oversimplifying it. The difference between a C1 and a C2 is that a C2 would allow larger entities to locate it within that area, right?
Correct. C2 is the regional commercial, and in your packet, there is a comparison table from TA to C1, as well as another table that shows TA to C2. So C2 being the regional commercial allows more of the higher intensity commercial uses,
Right.
whereas C1 tries to focus a little bit more on the local neighborhood type of.
Intensity was the word I was searching for, yeah, so.
Intensity and density, yes.
Right.
And that little strip just to the west along the new street, going back into the housing development, didn't we, or wasn't it rezoned in a medium density? And then basically just,
There's some R1 around to the north, and so that would include that residential property that basically banks around from the west up to the north side.
okay. Because I remember discussion from the applicant for the whole addition that that little strip just to the south, or just to the west of this, was going to be more medium density than R1, but I don't remember if it was,
Yeah, most of what we've seen has been single-family residential,
Right.
which is more fitting with the R1 traditionally. But under the new code, they could certainly take R1 and go add duplexes if they wanted to go more medium density.
okay,
That just hasn't, we haven't seen anything like that yet.
okay, thank you.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to open the floor for the public hearing. If anyone would like to speak for or against this item, you may now come forward and write down your name, and we'll allow you time to speak. Would anyone like to come forward? Yes, sir.
My name's Rob Morris. I live at 1307 in Northridge, a little bit south of this. I don't particularly have a problem. I do kind of like that staff went with C1 instead of C2, so that it doesn't allow bigger things in the future that could come about. They'd have to come back through. Other than that, I don't see it being a problem. We're going to be widening 45th Street, and to think that there's not going to be commercial things coming to 45th Street when it's 4-lane, I mean, I think it's going to come. The very last thing is, since this is on YouTube now, I'd like to remind everybody that abstentions aren't a bad thing, and good things still pass even with abstentions. So if you have a conflict, no more voting for friends and their properties, and no more voting for family. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak? Seeing no one else, I will now close the public hearing, and I would entertain a motion.
I'd make a motion to rezone from TA to C1.
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Johnson,
Aye.
Barrett,
Aye.
Reese,
aye.
Porter,
Aye.
Alexander.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank you very much. Moving on to item number 3, study session items, comprehensive plan and zoning.
Just so the commission knows, this is a continuation of training modules we've been doing for you. Fetch has put these 2 quick study session items together just so that we can do additional training with you to make it a little bit easier and available here when you're already here for meetings, rather than trying and find ways to do additional time commitments outside of planning commission meetings. So she's got 2 that we're gonna walk through today, and you're welcome to ask questions during or after.
Thank you.
These monitors aren't on down here, they're supposed to be.
Oh, we will get there.
Thought it might be slightly more interesting if they were on.
Yeah. Is it on now?
The hamsters are on the wheel.
It's not spinning yet. There.
Okay, hello, dear commissioners. So, as Mr. Harkin said, we're continuing with the training modules that we think will be beneficial. And the first topic we're discussing today is the role of the comprehensive plan, and we'll understand why this plan is so important and how we can use it as a improving tool and for future growth in the city. So. In this session, we'll learn what are the legal powers that this plan provides, what is the definition, what is the purpose of that plan, what is the process to obtain or to upgrade existing plan, and what are the key elements that we need to include in that plan. So the legal powers, everything starts with a standard city planning enabling act, which was adopted in 1928. Also, that piece of legislature provide the power for the existing of planning commission and board of adjustments that we discussed in the previous sessions. It authorized the planning commission to be the steward and initiator of the comprehensive plan that community would need. And if any community wants to regulate zoning, a comprehensive plan must exist. Without comprehensive plan, we don't have the legal right to regulate zoning in the community. So the Planning Commission should observe the creation, implementation, and upgrading of the comprehensive plan. So the first question that comes to mind is how often do we need to upgrade the comprehensive plan? And there is no golden rule, but I would suggest it depends on the size of the community and how many changes and how often there is extreme changes happen. So I would say 10 years mark is a good deadline for a community of this size. If we start to see more zoning changes, more variation requests before the Board of Adjustment, that means comprehensive plan, it's a little bit outdated, and we need to start looking components that need to be up to date. Again, the Standard City Planning Act provides the content of the comprehensive plan, and of course there is no specific key component that are listed in that piece of legislature. We'll discuss what is suggested because it varies from state to state. This act grants the authority based on health, safety, and general welfare of the community. And this language is very important because by this language we judge every variation and every rezoning that is submitted for your review. So, as I mentioned, this plan provides a legal ground for zoning regulations. So, what is the definition of the comprehensive plan? Because when some people hear comprehensive plan, and all kind of things come to their mind. But pretty much this is the legal document that each community must have to regulate and to apply for capital improvements, development projects, and economic development patterns. If we want to regulate growth, spurs, development in a certain neighborhood, we need to have that comprehensive plan. Without that plan, city is very in a vulnerable position because it just can open opportunity for litigations. So in some communities it's called comprehensive plan, in some communities it's called master plan, land use plan. They're all the same. They're just naming all the same plan. And of course, why do we need this plan? Because it's guidance for the public, for the developers, for economic patterns that we want to see, travel corridors. If we want to do certain studies, we need to have that comprehensive plan. So what is the purpose? And again, it creates a vibrant and inclusive community. It provides a view of a big picture. So pretty much look very broadly. It's not super specific, but with broad brush, looks up to housing, economic development, public infrastructure, environmental protection, hazard mitigation, and how they relate to each other. It's pretty much establish a community vision to bring community efforts. If community is in this position today, where we want to go 5 or 10 or 20 years from now. Also, coordinate local decision making. It's support and promote adoption of certain policies that guides the local government in the daily decisions. Coordinate decisions for the developers and landowners. This is very important because if there is a rezoning case like we have today, we refer to the comprehensive plan because that's the legal authority. This plan regulates how the city can grow, how can the city invest monies, how the budget is developed, because such investments affect future growth and development. Also, the plan provides mere ground for informed decisions. The data that this plan provided is fact-based and support the decisions just to be fair and objective. Also, the plan provides a measure for consistency on government's actions and decisions and limit possibility for future litigations. Allow active participations from all stakeholders. So either elected or appointed officials, citizens, business communities, property owners, faith-based organizations, they're all included when this plan is developed. So the plan preparation process with all this data collection, meeting, surveys, town halls, pretty much channel into developing this vision, goals, objectives, and action plan. So the process creates very informed consistency, and this is the pattern that every planning process should go. So, yeah. Let's focus a little bit more now. And I'm sorry, I've been projecting the wrong slides. I didn't notice. I'm sorry.
I thought there was something off.
You should have speak off.
I'm kidding. I can't read most of the small print anyway.
So that's the overview slide, the legal powers. This is the definition. This is the purpose. And now the process.
We got most of them, right?
Yeah.
So we start with a community study, which pretty much provides for the community snapshots. What is the population, demographics, education, earning power, spending power, landscape, businesses, environment sources, all kind of stuff that define the community, what it is. Then we move to plan development, which involves land use, how we want the land, that is part of the community to be used in the future. What type of mobility we're envisioning? We're just focusing on car mobility, or we want to involve other type of mobilities like biking, walking, public transportation? Do we want to include all that? What type of economic development the community is envisioning? Do we want to attract more small type of businesses, or we prefer to focus on big box stores, or maybe both of them? Do we think to provide any type of attraction or incentives for particular type of businesses? Housing, how we want to solve issues, if any, of the housing. What type of housing are predominantly popular in the community, and do we see any gap of housing that we need to cover? For example, I can tell you, majority of the communities in Oklahoma, they are focused on single-family housing. So this is the largest percentage in pretty much all the communities. Do we want to open doors for more mixed-use development, or quadplexes, or quadruplexes, or more multifamily housing opportunities? So this is all the decisions that community makes, and it needs to be included in the plan because it will regulate the future decisions. Do we practice any historic preservation? Do we have neighborhoods or areas that are prone to historic preservation, and are those important for the community? Strategies for implementation. This includes all kind of timetables, infrastructure. We prioritize what is priority from 1 to 100, and action plan. What is high priority, who is responsible for, and what is the deadline that we need to hold that party accountable. And final phase, of course, is adoption, which means before adoption, it will be public hearing in front of the Planning Commission, and based on Planning Commission recommendation, this document will move up to City Commission for final decision. So the plan established the needs for creating or updating the existing plan. Like the city of Shawnee, we have comprehensive plan. Do we need to upgrade that, or is it still working well with the projects that we're carrying on a daily basis? So we need to address the critical points. We need to recognize what are the critical points so far on the current projects that the city carries. How the budget reflects that plan. Is there off, or there work simultaneously? And of course, we can, but we need to select a committee, internal committee of experts that will kind of observe the whole process of upgrading the plan. Are we hiring consultants to do that upgrade, or we will decide to be done in-house by the city staff and whoever else is in that committee? So all that is very complex and time-taking process, but the point is to be super focused and specific, even though it's very broad and general plan, because out of the comprehensive plan, the community can build more specific plans, such as neighborhood plan, or business district plan, or some other type of plans that are more specific and detailed for specific area. And lastly, what are the key elements? And again, this is not exhaustive list, this is just suggestions. As you mentioned, in some states there is specific elements that ought to be included because of their legislature. So as I mentioned, community baseline analysis is the community snapshot that talks about population, demographics, education, business, landscape, income, environment, historic preservation, stuff like that. Vision, goals, and objectives, and we all know what is the difference between goal and objective. Yeah, goal is more general and objective is something that we can measure. And we put the measuring criteria by which the community is held accountable, or who is the responsible party of that. Plan development, it touches on land use, mobility, economic development, housing, branding, utilities. Branding becomes very popular with certain communities nowadays, which means what is something so specific to the city of Shawnee that we want to just ride on that and develop future extent of the community. And the final phase is the adoption. Plan finalization, public hearings, workshop, etc. So, this is pretty much in a nutshell what is a comprehensive plan, because there is much more that can be talked about it. But for the sake of time, this is just a short informative session. And of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. But those are just some guiding questions. Do we really need a comprehensive plan? Yes, because we want to regulate zoning. Again, without comprehensive plan, we don't have the legal right to regulate zoning. What are the legal powers for adopting the comprehensive plan? Standard City Planning Enabling Act, which is federal law adopted 1928. Could we just adopt zoning law and codes? No, we cannot, because that's illegal. That's violate the federal law. We cannot. Can we cut the public involvement component in developing the comprehensive plan to save time and money?
No.
That's illegal. We cannot. That will violate the federal law. And how often do we need to upgrade the comprehensive plan?
Depends.
I'll let you speak.
You said about 3 years for our size, but it depends.
Depends, yeah. It depends how well the current plan corresponds to the projects that the city is carrying. Any questions on that?
On the key elements, and
On
I've
the
asked this,
key?
yeah, the
Okay, let me
previous,
go back. Yes, key elements?
you know, I know that environment's mentioned in baseline, but it seems to me, and I've noticed this in not just our community, but other communities as well, of larger size, is we talk about mobility and thoroughfare, but we don't really talk about other engineering conveyances, like stormwater removal, how you deal with making sure you've got a appropriate water supply, appropriate sewer supply. Is the industry you work in beginning to see those as being, not just because of regulatory requirements, but because of trying to keep up with the way that things work on an engineering cost?
Yeah.
Figuring those, where do we see those come into the comprehensive plan, I guess is my question.
That's a very good question. Thank you for asking that. Some communities, they have specific plans on those, not necessarily issues, but in those areas. Some communities, they even have hazard mitigation plans separately. Comprehensive plan is the one that unites all of them. So here is the place where this should be mentioned. If there is a specific, like City of Shawnee has strategic plan, which is great. Here is the place that this strategic plan should be referred. If we develop stormwater and water distribution plan, if we have separate, this is the place where this should be linked. So pretty much imagine that comprehensive plan is a broad umbrella and everything goes under.
So the ideal would be that if we create a new commercial district or something, that the engineering plans for things like stormwater conveyance would marry into that.
Yes.
At the development phase, at the strategic planning phase, which is where we're at now, as opposed to whenever the development's getting ready to occur.
Yes, and if there is a misalignment between those current projects and the existing comprehensive plan, that means we should upgrade the comp plan, because that is the major master plan that pretty much covers all the areas of the capital improvement projects that the city is carrying on.
Yep. Thank you.
Any other questions? just move on to the other presentation.
That side is much better looking than this side, by the way.
What's that?
That side is much better looking than this side.
I don't know.
I was gonna say, we're a fine-looking bunch there.
You can carry it all by yourself over there.
Yes, this session will discuss zoning regulations and city planning. As we learn, they come out of the comprehensive plan. So we'll discuss what is the legal power for zoning regulations, what is the definition, zoning administration and application process. So again, Standard City Planning Enabling Act 1928 provides legal ground and authorize developing the comprehensive plan out of which the communities can regulate zoning. It provides guidance to develop zoning ordinances, provide for privately developed land, provision for grant authority, again, is based on health, safety, and general welfare. And this is very important language. I caution you to remember that. Because when decision needs to be made, those are the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Is the proposal benefit the health, safety, and general welfare of the public? Again, the zoning ordinances, it's land regulation that is defined by the comprehensive plan. We have specific section in the comprehensive plan that says future land use. And that section is the one that guides any future capital improvement processes, the growth or limitation of growth of the city. Some communities, because they grow too fast and their utilities cannot support that growth, they limit issuing of building permits in certain areas. So that's happened. Planning Commission and Board of Adjustments, they have the power to enforce the zoning codes. So Planning Commission is the entity that provides for the suggestions, and of course the final decision is the City Commission. And we all know how it works. If there is an objection to City Commission decision, they can go before the Board of Adjustments. So Oklahoma statute title 19, counties and county officers regulates the zoning. So what the zoning means and what allows and what restricts. It restricts on building heights, number of stories, and size of the building. What is the square footage allowable on certain piece of property. Also restrict on lot coverage. We call it FAR, or floor area ratio. And this is calculated within the zoning codes. Restriction on lot sizes, yard sizes, setbacks, front setbacks, side setback, backyard setbacks. This is all in the zoning codes. Developing and controlling zoning districts in the community. So if we want to have business district or we want to have art districts, this is the place where this is restricted. And it's very specific, what is allowed, how it is allowed, and what is prohibited. Also, it regulates creating and maintaining zoning overlays. So what is zoning overlays? Let's say the future land use of the comprehensive plan call this residential area. For whatever reason, there is a proposal that is acceptable to the community and it will benefit the health, welfare, and safety of the community, but it doesn't meet the current codes. Then this overlay is created that is very specific just for this certain area, in terms of height, of size of the structures, the setback, the landscape, and this is just for specific purpose. Creating and maintaining plant unit development. So plant unit development sounds very similar in terms of requirements, but it's way smaller in size. Overlay could be in terms of couple neighborhoods. Well, plant unit development is much more smaller in size and specifically designed to improve the area and provide services that are lacking according to the current zoning district. Also, control mixed-use development. It regulates where mixed-use development is allowable. It makes sense to be along major transportational corridors where it's a lot of public that goes back and forth, but it's not necessarily a must. Regulate parking and landscape requirement. So it used to, in the past, parking was for specific square footage, that many parking spots must be created. Over the years, this shifted a little bit towards minimum parking requirements. And now communities are even trying to stay away from that because we all seen this big commercial players in the communities like big box stores that have humongous parking spots that half and they're full to their capacity. So this is the place where community can regulate their parking requirements. Of course, landscape, what is allowable? What type of greenery is allowable? What type of fences? What is the height, material, stuff like that. So this is the hierarchy of the zoning administration. Again, it starts with the city council, which is the final decision body. Go down to planning commission, which is recommendation body, but is the first one that opened for public hearing pertaining zoning cases. Board of Adjustments is the one that is used if people disagree with the city commission decisions, and of course planning staff that prepare and collect all the information and develop the documents that you receive for every meeting. So what is the application process for zoning changes? Pretty much for majority of them, city has application form that is on the city website, and the applicant needs to find the right application and completed it. Depends on the case, we may have pre-application meeting, specifically designed to collect more data and to provide additional information to the applicant, because this is the stage where we want to make clear to the applicant what the city may allow and what the city may restrict. We don't want for them to purchase a property and learn afterwards. And of course, the city staff will do a final review of all plan and documentation. If something is missing, if more information is required, that is the time to be collected before the package is compiled and be presented to you. And of course, the final stage is the public hearing, which is this setting. So this is the pop quiz. What allows the zoning regulations? The comp plan. So we'll run, it's the comprehensive plan that allows for that. Who is the governing body overseeing the zoning regulation?
City Commission?
You are.
Oh,
Your suggestion goes before the city without you, the city commission cannot make the decision. This body are absolutely a must. What zoning can't and can't regulate? So let me go back. What we can regulate, those are the staff that we can regulate. And I can tell you what cannot regulate. We cannot regulate ugly. Oh, that's ugly to me. I understand. There is no piece of law that regulate ugly because it's very subjective. We need to be super specific. Do we need public hearing process to apply zoning regulations? Absolutely yes, because this is transparent and open to community process. And why do I need to have permit to build something? Because we need to comply with the zoning regulations. And Mr. John may think he understands the zoning regulations and build his 5-story apartment complex and turn out, oh, you're missing that, missing here. No, we need to follow these regulations for the, let me remind you that language. Health, safety, and general welfare. If there is a litigation happen between the city and private entity, developer, private citizen, doesn't matter. This is the first language that the court will pull, because this is part of the federal law. Any questions?
Tell me again where you said we were in our comprehensive plan life.
I'm sorry?
Tell me where we were. I thought you said at the beginning, like where we were in the life of our comprehensive plan.
To my knowledge, I think it's 5 years old,
It was adopted in 2019.
Okay.
so maybe more than 5 years.
So obviously, we have new census data we incorporate, and then other directions and things that would be factored in
Yeah.
at this point that would be part of an update or a new.
Lots of outside and economic forces
Right.
that we need to adapt to. Okay. So it's time.
We're in that range, yes.
Okay. Just want to make sure I heard that right.
It's just a matter of how we would do that going forward.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe we can start looking at certain components, how well they represent the current conditions in the community, and figure it out. Do we need full upgrade, or we just need partial upgrade? But as Mr. Hawkins said, yeah, pretty much 10 years. It might be short, might be less, might be more, but 10 years when the population usually shifts.
Right.
Demographic change, yeah.
So what do you need from us? What's the next step?
If there is a need of upgrade, it needs to be requested by this commission. We would like to request comprehensive plan update.
Does the staff have a recommendation?
I'm sorry?
Does the staff have a recommendation?
We have asked for money in the CIP in the next fiscal year or two to actually do an update of the comp plan and write a new one.
Okay.
It's whether or not the budget resources will be there, and if not, how we go about from there making that happen.
Okay.
There's 2 or 3 options that staff is kind of evaluating at this point.
So nothing imminent from us?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Bottom line is, we need to work as a two hands of one body. We cannot function without you, and you cannot function without us.
No.
Yes. So we all need to be in the same page, and pretty much that's the purpose of these short training sessions that we decide to start doing. So we all be as a one mind. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4, Community Development Department updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll keep this part short. I will tell you, we have a new planner starting on staff next week. For those of you that remember Emily Lisenby's short tenure before she took a position back in Oklahoma City, her replacement begins next Monday. Her name is Diana Hood. She is coming from the city of Stillwater. She has a bachelor's degree in geography with an emphasis in urban planning from BYU. And she's been on staff there for a couple of years, but she's excited to get into a bit more structured work environment, and take on a new challenge. Staff is working in a collaborative effort between a couple of members from the Arts and Culture Commission, as well as a couple of members from the Park Board, to look at the idea of replacing some of the landscaping areas with public art possibilities, and how that could be done. So staff is involved in that discussion. We continue to work with new staff members at HUD on getting continued compliance with our CDBG program, and we're continue to make strides there, and helping the new staff members understand where we're at and where we've been over the last couple of years. We will begin monitoring with the state for one of the COVID-related grants in the next month as well. Staff is also looking at the methods to do an update of the consolidated plan. That is the guide for our CDBG funding. That's a 5-year document. And then each year there's what we call an annual action plan. That truly just guides, again, the CDBG program overall. So we're trying to see if we can get an RFP out the door to go after a consultant, or if we need to pursue that in-house. Other things the staff is working on, we continue to get a lot of different questions, especially with the new code. Can I do this, or how can it be done? So it's continues to be an education curve there. And then other special projects coming along, including discussions about housing and other things in the community. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Moving on to item number 5, commissioners' comments.
Thank you. Thanks for these updates. The education's nice to have for those of us who are struggling sometimes to keep up. I appreciate that. You had mentioned last time we met that all we had to do was request something, and that doesn't make it happen, but it kind of starts the wheels going. I would like to request a traffic study on both Kickapoo and Harrison. Now, what that looks like, I think that needs to, obviously, the planning staff needs to try to figure that out, and engineering staff. But really, above, I would even take it down to Independence or Federal and above, all the way up to the highway and beyond, out towards our city limits. And I would be happy to help out with that in any way that you would need me to, as both a commissioner and a citizen. So just let me know what that looks like. But I think both of those things need to be done.
I just wanted, United Acts of Kindness is February the 14th, so I encourage all of you to do something kind next Friday. The Economic Development Summit is February 27th. One of the topics they're addressing is housing, and so I think for anybody that's available to attend, it would be good to get the information and be a part of the conversation. Retreat is happening on March the 8th, and so working alongside Keep America Beautiful, we're replanting trees in our community from the impact of the tornado. We're still looking for volunteers to help with that, so if you or anyone you know would be interested in volunteering, there's a lot of space for volunteers to help with that in our community. And lastly, I just wanted to address Mr. Morse's comments about conflict of interest. We all sign an ethics clause up here to serve on these boards, and just knowing somebody does not make it a conflict of interest. So I just saying that we can't vote on things for people that we know is incorrect information, so,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, to kind of piggyback off you a little bit, I was going to talk about retreat too, just because we kind of talked about it at another meeting this morning, and it sounds like maybe they are still needing, or like giving out some trees if
There
people
are some
need them.
trees available.
So there's still some trees left if anybody knows of someone that lost a tree in the tornado and wants a replacement. I think it's going to be a cool thing for Shawnee and Potawatomi County as a whole, and looking forward to helping out with that.
I have nothing. You all have done a great job.
Glad we made you proud, Steve.
Yes, always.
I had it written down and of course left that piece of paper at home. The upcoming planning, I can't exactly find the words for it, that's gonna happen out here at the Expo Center.
Yes, thank you, sorry. Staff is hosting, on behalf of the Oklahoma chapter of the American Planning Association, a one-day mini-conference on February 20th at the Expo Center. If commissioners wish to attend, please let staff know and we will get you registered. If we have what appears to be a quorum, we will make sure we issue a notice of special meeting and clarify that it is a training session and that no decisions will be made and no public discussion of any items. But yeah, just please let me know that. Staff will be involved from our department in a couple of sessions that day, one about Twin Lakes and the master plan there, one about housing pallets with a couple of other communities that have done it in the state. And then a couple of members of the Planning Commission and a member of the Board of Adjustment are gonna speak about, just from a public official's perspective, how important the planning process is and what makes it from their perspective go well. So we appreciate their input there and their time. There will also be a session about ethics for planners and legal issues relating to development and land use. Just to give you a highlight of the day, but it's about 6 hours total. So we anticipate we're planning for about between 50 and 60 people, planners from around the state.
What's the time?
It starts at 9 a.m., so it's like a 9 to 4:30 by the time you include lunch.
A former colleague of mine is in the planning department in Norman, and I was asking her if she was coming, and I had the date wrong, but when we got that figured out, she was like, yes, and I'm probably going to bring my whole staff. So I sent her the link.
I would encourage the commission, if you cannot commit a whole day, at least one for session or two, because all the topics that are going to present it are important and it will be super helpful.
Is there an agenda already put together?
If you click on the link for the registration, you should be able to see the agenda. But if you don't get that open, let me know and we can send it to you.
Okay. And have you emailed that to us before?
Yes.
Okay.
And as far as registering, you said
If you let us know,
contacts.
we will register for you.
Okay.
Okay.
Are other municipalities bringing their planning
I
commissioners?
have no idea.
Oh,
That would be up to them.
sure. I just thought maybe y'all talk about it or
Yeah.
something.
We encourage them,
Yeah,
because this is at least in-state, it's not super far destination, so we encourage to bring their commissioners, but we don't know at this
and
point.
Shawnee is centrally located.
Exactly, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Seeing nothing else, I will adjourn this meeting. Thank you all very much.
Brian, would you be kind?